So, let's talk about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Because boy, howdy, has it bombed. Spectacularly. Who'd have thought this would happen?
Actually, many of us, considering it's a Kathleen Kennedy production. I mean, the industry is surprised. I mean,
they really are. They are actually
the establishment is acting as if they're shocked. But really, are any of us here on this panel shocked? If anything, I'm surprised that it opened as high as it did. I frankly would have expected it to open 5 to 10 million lower.
Well, and again, in service to that, point, it did open really low. It opened under the $60 million estimated threshold that had been reduced just 2 weeks prior, in its 3-day weekend. This is through Tuesday. So it's through today. It's going to rack 82 million in domestic market, which is low. Really low.
So bad.
It's missing by $20 million what they were projecting. The lowest estimate was.
To put it into context, these 82 million that it did over the course of its 5-day opening weekend, that's what it should have done on the opening Friday alone.
Yeah.
And 82 million gross through the first 5 days of release shouldn't be shabby for a legacy sequel. What? Who says this?
Some kind of a clueless human.
Yeah, so someone that's trying to run cover for Disney. Us who's saying that.
Indiana Jones needs all the lift it can get, and 82 million gross through the first 5 days of release shouldn't be shabby for a legacy sequel from a more than 40-year-old franchise. But Dial of Destiny is one of the most expensive films. This is important, guys. One of the most expensive films ever produced by Disney and Lucasfilm. You are talking $350 million. It's not this 295 that they keep quoting. It's not. It's not that at all, because they did their taxes in the UK, so that revealed an awful lot. And there was, I think it was a Deadline article that began quoting a 329 figure, if I remember rightly. And I've been saying for ages it was 350. I'd said that for a little while.
Yeah.
In most videos. So yeah, 350 million. I mean, it's just insane. The most expensive film Disney and Lucasfilm ever produced, and it looks like that. And it took $82 million in 5 days. I mean, that's appalling. What are you doing with these budgets? Like, what are you doing?
That is the issue, because that's the reason why all of these movies are bombing. Because if you look at the box office figures in a sense are fine. The problem here is the massive budgets that is spent on this. This is and I am reminded of the very wise words from one Ike Perlmutter, former Marvel head honcho, who was ousted when Kevin Feige and Bob Iger had enough of him. But basically, he was the checks and balances guy. And what he has said later is that it was very important to him to keep the budgets in check, because it doesn't matter how big the movies open, that they break opening records left and right. No one cares about that really. What really matters is how much is left on the bottom line. And if the budget is high enough, nothing is going to be left on the bottom line. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. And I do believe that is a theme that we'll be revisiting a lot today.
Yeah, I mean, we will. Well, this is the issue. I mean, this is the title of the video. It's just Hollywood budgets in general. I mean, to look at Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I mean, so you went the same day I went, actually, Andre. Opening day, which was Wednesday.
Yes,
yeah, it was
previous Wednesday.
Yeah, because we
get some advantages in Europe.
And your cinema was empty. My cinema was empty. I had 3 other people in my cinema, and God, what a slog of a film!
I had 12 other in mine, but to be fair, I do believe that maybe my cinema was was bigger and had more capacity than yours, so like adjusted for a head capacity, it was probably the same shit attendance.
The most expensive film they've ever produced, even out of Star Wars, apparently.
Yeah,
Disney and Lucasfilm. This is
And
more expensive than some of the Star Wars films.
And Rise of Skywalker had a ton of reshoots. They dumped a lot of extra money into that mess.
That too. But that's something that we really need to be aware of here, because we talk about all this money, but not all that money is actually on screen. Well, it is in a sense, but it's not to make us a better movie. But for instance, Harrison Ford's salary for this movie, 20 million alone, just to him, 20 million. And I don't know how much the director James Mangold was paid, but it's enough that he can cry all the way to the bank over the failure of this movie. And same with all of the other producers, from Kathleen Kennedy to every one of her compadres at Lucasfilm. They were paid so many millions upon millions on millions on millions. I mean, these things, they're basically tax shelters, because much of these really extravagant budgets, it's corruption. And so much of it is just a kind of like shifting money from one department to the next. And, oh, suddenly it all came into my pocket. Funny how that worked. And that's why these things are so bloody expensive, but why the effects houses go broke and everything like that. I mean, there's a very clear delineation between above the line and below the line. And these extremely high budget movies, if they bomb for the studio, well, the Kathleen Kennedys, they still made a killing on it, let's put it that way.
Oh, it's just yeah. I mean, and she's never getting. Why is she not getting fired? Like, how on earth has she not? But this is the most expensive film they've ever made, and it's the biggest. I mean, that means it'll be the biggest flop that they've ever had. Right?
In theory, that is like a spoiler alert. But right now we have the Midnight's Edge post-mortem of this movie. I posit that this could lose Disney more than $300 million by the time all is said and done.
I said it was 300 million guaranteed it was going to lose. Just looking at it, looking at the early, looking at its opening box office, the amount of money it cost to make, basic projections, it was easy. At the very bare minimum, it was $300 million it was going to be losing. It's just a staggeringly high amount of money. Just what on earth are they doing? And again, like, we know kind of where it goes as well. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Just insanity.
Yeah. So Disney shareholders, I mean, they are the ones we should be asking, what are you doing? If you're a Disney shareholder, what the hell are you doing? Why have you not sued the company yet? Why have you not sued them for violation of fiduciary duties? Why haven't you not go along with other shareholders to demand Bob Iger's head on a platter? I mean, if you are a Disney shareholder, I mean, we're soon reaching the point where you have some level of culpability here, because Disney is not upholding their fiduciary responsibilities to their own shareholders by doing all this madness.
I don't understand why we haven't seen class action lawsuits in regards to these kinds of things. Whether
we should have.
Yeah, I mean, the performance of some of these films has been dismal. They haven't made any money. I mean, this particular thing is going to push that number that we talked about, Andre, at the end of the year, well over $1.3 billion in theatrical losses, because we know Wish is going to have a proper failure, and so is the Marvels. So you also have this Haunted Mansion movie that nobody's heard of that's coming up in 2 weeks? I mean, it's nobody's heard of this thing, and nobody asked for it. So I feel like we're about due for shareholders to really come and get them. You know,
I think that the Disney shareholders have been extremely patient and to their own detriment.
Well, their financial detriment and perhaps their future detriment. I mean, this is the other thing. You brought back the guy who'd set all these wheels into motion that made everything go the wrong way, and now it's just continuing to go the wrong way. But yeah, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is well, likely to make, my estimates keep going down. I wanted to be kind and I put it between 400 and 450 million a few days ago, but it may not cross over $400 million, Andre.
No, it may not. Because here's like the thing. Again, it's already rejected by audiences worldwide. I mean, The Little Mermaid had in its favor that incredibly it was doing fairly well in the States, just nowhere else. But this is playing more like The Flash so far, which means worldwide rejection. Where's The Flash at this point? I mean, has it even crossed 200 million yet? I don't think it's even crossed 100 million stateside.
Yeah, I can't. Well, it's not going to. Well, obviously, 82 million through today, if they're lucky. I still think this is a high estimate, but we'll find out. If it goes a full, okay, so it's good. We're headed into the first full week very, very quickly, because theoretically, people saw this on, well, as early as Wednesday, Andre, right? You saw it like tomorrow will be a week ago.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, and so you end up with a global box office that's sub $200 million, 1 week after its, release. This thing is a proper flop, because guess what shows up in the box office a week from today for me? Mission Impossible.
Sure. Oh, yeah, that should be fun.
Should be fun. Yeah, and so, that 12-day runway this thing had, that window's getting tighter.
Yeah. Cultured and Nick, I'm curious about this, if this was the case with you guys as well. In my theater, there were no trailers for any other movies. What there was instead was like a 3-minute preview of the new Mission Impossible. Not a trailer, but like this behind-the-scenes thing of them filming that stunt in Norway. Was that attached to the cinema or to the theater stateside as well?
I'm not sure, because I was not paying to go see this thing. I got another way for me to be able to watch this thing.
Surfshark is wonderful. I'm just telling you.
Yeah. Yep. If you guys don't have VPN and don't want to pay to see some of this stuff, it's a great way to do it. But anyways,
just because we don't condone it, don't mean you have to listen.
Yeah, exactly.
We're just telling you how to stay safe while doing whatever is your business.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I have no idea if what they showed, because I was not paying to go see this disaster. So I'm not sure. I haven't heard anybody else that I know personally that has gone and seen it.
Well, I saw it, Nick, and I'll tell you that of my 500-seat auditorium that I saw this film in, there were 39 people total, so about 17% of the audience that it should have had. It should have been sold out. It should have been a massive, massive film, and it wasn't. And then when I go back and I look at all the pre-sales and everything for this film, it doesn't look good. It doesn't. It didn't look good. There were seats that were open throughout the theater. There wasn't. Outside of the ghost seats, the pattern buying that we see for promotion, there really wasn't a lot there. A lot of people made day of, reservations, or they walked up and got their seats, and that's just not the way modern cinema is now. At least not in my part of the universe.
That's what I did. I just hopped in the car and I went to the very first IMAX screening. That generally shouldn't be possible.
You went to IMAX for Indiana Jones?
Yeah, I might as well.
Oh, goodness.
Might as well.
I did not.
I figure. I could go to like a smaller screen, or I could go to the IMAX thing, which is more practical for me anyway, because there I can just drive to, because that's a little bit in the outskirts, right? So I can just hop in the car, park at the local mall and everything, and be out. Whereas if I want to go into town, I have to muck about with subways and everything because
Yeah.
commies rule the Oslo Parliament and basically ban traffic in town. So yeah. So yeah, I saw it in IMAX, and of course that didn't make it any better. If anything, it made it worse.
Well, so what? Yeah, I just the look. Indiana Jones is a flop. Like, what do we think? Where do we think this is going to end up money wise? There you go. Before we shuffle on to some subjects. Where do we think this is going to end up money wise?
So yeah, when you were stepped away for a second, I mentioned to Andre that my original projection. We talked about this last week, so I'm going to go with I was thinking somewhere between 400, 450. I actually believe it's going to not be able to put a 4 in front of any number. I think it could possibly be
380,
400 million. Yeah, 350, 375, 390. It's not going to look good.
Yeah. I think my original prediction was 450 tops 450. Now I'm looking at around 380.
Wow.
Yeah, this is flopping harder than I even expected it to flop.
I will say though that I'm very happy for it to flop this way. It is quite deserved. I'm not going to say that I'm gloating too much, just a little bit, but this was an entirely predictable disaster, and it was entirely avoidable. I mean, all of us could tell from a mile away exactly how this was going to play out, and lo and behold, they went and they did it anyway.
Yeah, I got a question for you guys because maybe I missed it. Whatever happened to him being? They never wrapped up the storyline of him being
criminal.
Yeah, a criminal. And
no, they didn't, did they?
Yeah,
they didn't.
It looked like he came back and he was just like a regular.
We just have to assume that Fleabag took care of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was wanted for actual murder.
Yeah. And he just comes back and like everything's fine. Like nobody's after him anymore.
That there's no need for him to talk to anyone or anything. It's like it's all good. The police don't need to talk to him.
Insane. Absolutely insane.